Hello, how we doing out there? How we doing out there? Let's get ready for video number two: How to react to feminism as a king, from a king's perspective. So want to see how everyone's doing out there. And once again, it is awesome. It is awesome to have an opportunity to be in front of you guys. I don't take it lightly. I really appreciate the opportunity to bring these courses to you. And so let's face it, we all deal with feminism to some degree. I mean, it's just part of the culture. It's part of the culture. And so the key with feminism is trying to get your point across. It's trying to get your point across in the most calm and easiest way possible. And so for this course, for this specific course, we're going to break it down from the context of you being treated like a king. And so, people say, well, what is a king? As it relates to this course, it's just somebody that should be respected. No matter what age you are, no matter what the relationship is, you should be you should have a little bit of respect. And again, not everybody has earned the right to be respected the way they think they should. And so let's just make that very clear. If you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you probably going to be looked at a lot different than somebody that's 60, 70 years old. Just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And so, we talk about respect, it's all based on the situation. It's based on the situation, the person, and a lot of different factors. So you don't want to put that out there right in the beginning. And so we all know respect is earned. It's earned, it's not given. And so for my fellas out there, I'm sorry to tell you, just because you stand up to pee does not mean everybody's supposed to bow down to whatever your will is. And so it's a lot that goes in to being respected. And sometimes, most times, it takes a lifetime to reach that level, to reach that level that we talking about tonight anyway. So if you're not there yet, don't worry about it. You will get there. If you stay on the right path, you will get there. But let's just say you've earned the right to be respected on a different level than the average person out there. Whether the average person is just a young person, the average person is a person that really don't put in a lot. Average person don't keep their word. There's a lot of people out there that have not earned the right to be respected in the way in which we're going to talk about it in this course. And so don't think that just because I'm saying this, you fit this mold. So kind of like check yourself as well as you checking the other person. Like I said, that's just my belief. And so let's get into it. One of the first things that we need to talk about in terms of any situation, any communication out there in terms of feminism and the way you should be treated as a king is people raising their voice. Um, I see a lot of men, especially. They got to step out the room when they're talking on the phone. They got to conduct themselves in a way in which, to me, it looks like, dude, obviously don't nobody respect you, because I guarantee you they're not doing all that when you call them. And so, uh, again, this is not for children. If you're a child, if you're under the age of 18, somebody taking care of you, there are completely different rules to the game. So I'm talking about adults. You should not be getting screamed at, and you should also not be screaming at someone else. So this goes both ways. And so kings on any level, that's just not allowed. That's a one-time offense. If somebody feels as though, and first of all, if you feel as though you're a king and you allow this, then that's just all I'm saying. When somebody feels as though they got the right or they got whatever's on their conscience to raise their voice at you about it, there's a couple ways you should handle that. Number one, you should never raise your voice back. The minute you raise your voice back, you have stooped down to their level and you are no longer a king. Like I said, kings don't holler, kings don't scream, kings don't threaten. There's no need to do that if you have accomplished the things in life that you think you have. You see what I'm saying? There's no need to do that. And so if a person is screaming at you, the first thing you want to do is calm yourself down. Because usually when you're excited, usually when you're animated, it provokes the other person because they believe they're not getting listened to. So you calm yourself down. And the reason why you're doing that is because the next statement you're going to make has got to be very clear and they understand that. And that next statement is you have to the count of three to get it under control. If not, your next option is to leave. See, you make this very simple. And I don't care what the situation is. If a person cannot talk to you calmly, the only other option they have is to leave the room. Because there's no way you're going to maintain a king status if a person feels as though they are allowed to scream at you. I don't care if no one else is allowed to scream at you. They really have a key to a door that you should not allow to be open, and that's your respect door. So screaming at you again, that again, it's a two-way street. I don't believe kings should scream either. I don't believe kings should threaten. You should make a promise. And you say it one time, and if it happened, it should be done. Because again, if it's not, then your words don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean anything. So when it comes to raising voices, when it comes now again, passion is different than screaming. Some people get passionate about sports. They get passionate about the way they want their house kept. They get passionate about certain situations, and you may just be, or you may be a certain culture. Now, if you Latin, if any of you people know Latin people, they just loud. They could be talking about your birthday. They just loud people. So don't misconstrue what I'm saying to just start an argument that's not being there. If you just with somebody that's loud, then that may just be the way they communicate. And the more passionate they get about that subject, the louder they're going to get. And if that's the case, then that's when you have to tell them, hey, you're taking it up too much. You have to really remind them the conversation that's taking place. So you give them the opportunity to bring it down, Because again, you're not a king if somebody's screaming at you in any situation. I'm just telling you. That's a one-time only offense. Number two, and again, I think this really became an issue when cell phones came out. I think prior to cell phones and social media, you didn't have as much complication in the definition of kings versus just regular dudes that are just out there clowning and wilding, because we didn't have immediate access to each other. Well, when you get immediate access to somebody, you immediately get to know how busy they are. If they're always on the phone with you, then they probably ain't that busy. Or if you can screen, like I said, when you can start conducting yourself in a different kind of way with people, you get to analyze that person better. And we have got a lot better at analyzing people in the world of social media because we spend more time with them. Well, let me tell you something, okay? And then, like I said again, I'm gonna come down the middle because a lot of this stuff is on both sides. Because in order to be a king, you know what I'm saying, you have to demand a lot, but a lot you have to give. See what I'm saying? And before I get into number two, let me tell you one thing real quick, and you can do your history. Most kings don't know what a queen is doing. They have no idea. Because if they're busy, then they shouldn't be concerned with what she's doing. The queen could be in the castle on complete wild while the king is out doing war, while the king is out work. He has no idea. The thing is, they respect him enough for him not to find out. See, because once he finds out, someone's dead. You got to understand that. It's not that the queen don't do nothing. It's that whatever she does, she understands the consequences for being caught. But the king is not going to snoop. It's got to be brought to him. In other words, he's not going to look for it. Because if he does, he's not a king. See, if he does, he has no confidence in himself. If he does, he's worried about what she's doing, which therefore he's not a king. So with that being said, let me take you to number two, and that's snooping. Whether it's the cell phone, email, social media, whatever. As a king, if you're snooping, if you pick up a woman's phone, if you go in a woman's purse, if you questioning her time, then you're not a king. But I mean, you're not a man. See what I'm saying? See, again, a lot of people get this mixed up like this is a race. Like if you're not a king, you're not important. There's only one king in a village. But there's a whole lot of men in the army. There's a lot of men that cook. There's a lot of men that do construction. There's a lot of, because the king can't do any of that. So without the men in the village, the king is not successful. The king is only as successful as his village. So understand your role. Don't get it mixed up that you are a king and you don't have to do nothing, but you're expecting all of these rewards. So number one, before I get into snooping, if you snoop, then this doesn't apply to you. If you even concerned 1 inch about what she's doing when she ain't around you, then you're not a king. See, because again, if what you do doesn't make you feel like you getting respected, then this does not apply to you. So this is for kings only. A king should never, ever, ever give a woman the need. Hear what I'm saying? The king should never, ever give a woman the need to snoop. Because she knows he's a king. So right off the bat, whatever she's thinking, she should already say, okay, that's what's happening. Because if you're thinking it, that's probably what's happening. But you don't need to snoop for it. Go ask him. Because if he's going to lie to you, if he's not going to tell you, he ain't a king. If he's worried about you screaming at him, which was number one, if he's worried about you, then he's not a king. So right off the bat, a king should never, ever, ever give a woman the reason to go snoop because again, she don't respect you as a king. I mean, she don't respect you as a man, but you're not at the level of which her intuition is not, making her go, let me look at that, let me look at that. See what I'm saying? You ain't at that level. So that's number one. But you will be tested. You will be tested. Like I said, feminism is just part of what it is. You will be tested. Uh, like every king, no matter animal or species. The lions have to fight to be the king. Chimpanzees have to fight to maintain. So you will be tested. You're not just a king based on the fact, again, that you stand up and piss. It's how you respond to those tests that allow you to maintain the king status. It's how you respond. So you'll be tested. Never change who you are. Again, if you're a worker, then don't try to be a king because you're going to lose every time. If you're a king, don't try to fix and build and all that because that's not what you designed for. You see what I'm saying? It's going to fall, crumble, break. Let a builder do that. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, know your role. Know who you are. So never change who you are in terms of relationships. Because again, the consequences of you not knowing who you are and where you are could be devastating. They could be devastating. If you don't know who you are, you assume you something you ain't, and you gonna start making wrong moves. It could devastate your situation. So never change who you are. Always let her make the choice. See, again, as a king, your main goal is your village. If your village crumbles, then you're a king of what? So you don't have time to be sick. Like I said, we're not equal in terms of emotion. Kings and queen ain't finna go out there and fight one battle. Not expected, not gonna happen. A queen ain't finna go out there and catch one horse. Not expected, not gonna happen. You are not gonna be emotional about it. It's just not expected, not gonna happen. They may try because the workers do get emotional. They don't have a choice. The cooks, the builders, they don't have a choice because guess what? They don't run a village. They don't have a million things coming at them at one time. They see you answering a million questions, handling it, and if your kingdom is still running, then they know you're a qualified king. So they will test you to see if you can multitask, keep that kingdom running, plus get emotional with them. Kings, we don't do that. We don't do that. That don't mean we don't listen. That don't mean we don't have compassion, but we do not bow down and become a worker. Never. Because the minute you do that, you're not a king. So this is the deal on that snooping. So let me make sure you understand. Like I said, you'll always be tested. Let her make the choice. But only allow, this is another once. Because again, when a person feels as though they can go through, like I said, whether you lock in your, whatever, and come, then you're not a king. No. Again, doesn't mean you're a man. Kings look out over the village and see shit happening all over the village that don't happen in the castle. But it don't mean he throw the people out the village. He send the police. You see what I'm saying? They don't throw them out, but that don't happen in the castle. Listen, nonsense will keep you from being effective at all costs. But you must understand people have to learn to honor and trust you. That's why I say it's earned, not given. So if you allow people to treat you a certain kind of way, then they're not going to respect you a different way. So that's another one-time offense. Do not allow people. Again, this is in relation. Your boss. I don't care if it's your boss at work. Your private space is your space. And the minute you allow somebody to get in it, it's not your private space, it's shared space. You see what I'm saying? Tell them one time, let them make the decision, that's it. Okay, on to the next one. Number 3, the quiet silent treatment. Okay, again, you're going to have this, fellas. It's how you deal with this that's going to determine whether you're a king or not. Because silence is a good thing. See, your boys ain't going to tell you this. King going to tell you this. Silence is a good thing. You don't ever want somebody to talk to you when they're not prepared. You don't ever want somebody to, see, this is where bad communication and arguments start and lead to divorces, separate, murder, forcing people to talk to you when they're not ready. You'll notice how most people get in a situation where they're on the phone and they looking like they don't have a red button to hang it up, or they scared to go. No. If anything makes you that nervous, then you should never get involved in that. In other words, if a neighborhood or a scary movie made you so scared to even watch it, why would you pay to go see it? Well, that's the same in life. If you're going to push a person to the point where they're telling you, I'm not ready, I want to be silent, leave me the hell alone, and you keep, well, whatever come out their mouth after that, that's on you, king or no king. So from my standpoint, I enjoy silence. First of all, if you're a king, you should be busy. And because if you got enough time to be poking this person, that means you ain't got enough stuff coming at you. Your shit finna fall anyway. But let's just say you are busy, but you don't understand what to do when the other person gets silent. Let me explain that to you. Let them be silent. You see what I'm saying? Let them get their thoughts together. They are respecting you by not coming at you sideways, and here you are trying to poke the bear. Again, this ain't the same. I'm not saying what a woman should do to you. I'm saying what you should do to a woman as a king. If it's a problem, shut your mouth, let her chill. When she's ready to talk, she'll talk. You keep pushing it, then be prepared to deal with whatever come out of her mouth. And know that you caused that problem. But here's the other side to that, Kings. Here's the other side to that. If it impacts her responsibilities, one time. Because again, like I say, as a king, the minute you stop doing what you're supposed to do, whatever that may be, because different countries have different expectations. In the United States, for example, she may be making more money than you, so your ass may not be working anyway. So it's not a money thing. So, but whatever you do as a man to keep your household, if you stop doing that, it's a freaking problem. Wherever you at. So as a king, you don't allow the things to cross. So you can stop talking to me all day. But you got a job to do to make this kingdom run. Just like I got a job. And the minute you don't want to do that, then you have to worry about talking. Because see, I'm never going to stop doing what I have to do, regardless of how I feel about you. And if that's not automatic, we got a problem. So again, silence to me is good. Never force somebody to talk to you when they're not ready. You see what I'm saying? You are invading their personal mental space. But when you're in a relationship, and again, this is not always romantic. I'm talking about your boss at work. I'm talking about your receptionist. I don't give a fuck who got a problem with you. If their problem is so big they can't do the job that they dare to do, then they are in position to be replaced. Just like you're going to be if you don't do your job. I guarantee you, whatever your position you in, there's an expectation of you. And the minute you're not feeling that expectation, you are in position. I don't mean you're in position to be replaced. So let's just keep it 100 about what's going on. Now, with that being said, not everyone is meant. See, again, not everyone is meant to have a queen. Not every woman is meant to have a king. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Again, like I said, there's only one king in the village. Every woman can't date that same man. There's 100 men in that village. See, everybody can't date. It's only one king. It's way more painters. It's way more construction workers. It's way more average people than there are exceptional people. So if you're with somebody who doesn't want an exceptional person or is trying to bring you down to be somebody got to go. And I guarantee you, if you don't change who you are, eventually they will go. Because it's easier to deal with a regular person than a king. You don't have to disrespect nobody. You don't have to tell nobody. Like I say, kings don't throw people out the village. They just call the police. So you don't have to